Hey guys! So I recently attended KW TriCon in February and I dressed up as Raven from Teen Titans. I made the white version of her instead, but all of this applies to her relative design. So I made her accessories and I figured I would make a tutorial about it so I could help anybody out there that was struggling, because when I was out there I didn't really find tutorials that I liked or I could have afforded at the time. So here is my take on it. Alright, so the first thing I made was the bracers for Raven. Super easy, I just used Eva foam. I luckily found white Eva foam, so I didn't even have to paint over it. And I literally just attached a hair elastic on the inside with hot glue, which actually held up pretty well. I'd probably just use two next time, or if I really wanted to be fancy, use some Velcro, but I didn't have that around my house laying around. And as this was kind of a last minute kind of thing because of school, it ended up working pretty well. So I used a heat gun to form it to the shape of my arm and just kind of sanded down the edges as best as I could. I didn't have a Dremel, so it didn't end up the best, but it worked out anyway. So those were the braces. Next, I made the belt for Raven. So I just got a normal kind of chain, kind of thicker, a bit heavier, so it could hold the weight of everything. So I just bought it from Walmart. It was about $5 maybe a bit less, and it came with two little lobster crab claws. I don't know what to call them. They're super useful. I attached two just for added strength and whatnot. So then I just literally wrapped it around my waistline, and it held perfectly fine throughout the day. The jewels, as I like to call them, for Raven's cosplay, I molded them myself. So I made a mold and I put resin inside. The resin I ended up buying, and I didn't realize, is actually turns out being white opaque, so I couldn't actually paint it the kind of translucently jewel-like quality that I wanted, but I ended up just painting over it and using Mod Podge to cover it, and with the glossy finish, and it actually turned out pretty well in pictures. For the base of it, I just used Eva foam. It worked really well. Cut it out, sanded it down, nothing too complex there. To attach them to the belt, I just hot glue gunned it, and it stayed really well. The only one I had issues with was this one. Fell off at the very end of the day, but that was when I was leaving my car when I got to my parking lot in my apartment. So I would say 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's super easy, not too expensive. Glue guns are cheap, so definitely would recommend doing that. Like I said, the only thing I'd make sure is if you do want to make your own jewel molds, make sure you get the proper resin that turns out clear in the end if you want that kind of effect. So next I made the gloves for Raven. I didn't end up buying the same kind of gloves that she has because I couldn't find them, but I just used normal winter gloves. I'll do an overhead shot for you so you can see what that looks like. So there you go. So pretty much what I ended up doing is the same thing I did for the belt. Used Eva foam and the resin to make the jewels. I would recommend making smaller Eva foam. I didn't have the time. This was kind of a few days before the convention, so I didn't have really the time to go out and buy some more, not mention the money. So I just made do with what I had. Again, just kind of attached it with hot glue, made sure to separate the glove, and made sure it didn't seep through and so I'd not be able to use the glove. So super easy. It ended up looking pretty nice in pictures, but I'm pretty sure it would have looked better if I used the smaller Eva foam width for that. Lastly, I made the brooch, or the clasp, whatever you want to call it. I made this kind of the night before. I made the jewel and all that beforehand, but I didn't know how to attach it to my cosplay. That was definitely one of the trickier parts. So for my cosplay, my hood had kind of two drawstrings attached to it, so I figured I'd use that to my best advantage. I didn't have any clips or safety pins around to attach to this, and I was really on a time crunch. So what I ended up doing is my favorite thing, hair elastics. So pretty much what I did is I laced the strings through as tight as I could and tied it and knotted it through, and it held up really well. And the nice thing is it ended up looking really awesome in pictures. I like that I made the jewel a little bit bigger for this one, so it stood out. So definitely I would recommend a little bit different. Obviously, if you have time/money, you can get a nice clasp or a safety pin here so you can pin it to your actual cloak. But again, worked out pretty well for me. I couldn't complain. Alright guys, so I hope my video helped you a bunch, whether that's from my experiences or my mistakes. And I hope it helped with your Raven cosplay or whatever cosplay you might be working on that's similar. Make sure to head over to my Facebook page to give it a like if you like me, and if anything, send me a message if you got any questions, or leave a question in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to help you out, whether it's with this cosplay, any of my other cosplays, or even a future cosplay you're doing and you're not quite sure on how to approach it. Take care, guys, and I'll hopefully see you guys soon.